Selling real estate or being a realtor, which one should you do? This is coming from somebody that was in the real estate wholesale industry for 2 years, and I'm now a full-time realtor. So let's break down the main differences and which is really the most beginner-friendly business model. I worked for a wholesale company for about a year as a lead manager, meaning I was filtering out their leads. The biggest difference between the two is on wholesale, you have to find not necessarily distressed properties, but distressed sellers. You need to find people that have insane amounts of motivation to allow their property to be sold for pennies on the dollar. While in some cases it does make sense for the seller to go with the cash offer due to convenience factors, condition of the property, that may not be best for on-market properties. It's not as easy as they make it seem to find these properties. So let's talk about that. When wholesaling real estate, you have to talk to a volume of sellers. And yes, you can do driving for dollars, and I'm sure all of that stuff works, going tax delinquent. I'm sure that is, but you also need to do heavy marketing to have consistent deal flow, because the name of the game is leads. So if you transition that to traditional real estate, like being a realtor, is let's say on wholesale, you need to find one seller that has a ton of distress to sell their property at a discount, right? So number one, you need to find somebody that's, one, doesn't know the worth of their property, and two, just needs to sell it quick. So while there's tons out there, the reason why wholesalers are so successful and can be more successful than realtors is because they're heavy on marketing. They consistently generate leads. But if you were just to multiply those same tactics, replicate those same tactics into your agency, you can make so much more money, because if you think about it, it's probably going to take you 1 in 100 home sellers that wants to sell their property for half off. Versus if you're an agent, you can market the same amount of people and you'll probably find 10 out of 100 that were willing to sell for top dollar, and you make that commission. So I generally think they're both great business models. I think beginner friendly, you're better off being an agent, but none of them are free, right? You can invest $1,000 into wholesale leads, buying leads, and a dialer. You could probably get a deal out of that. You could also invest $1,000 to get your license and help people buy or sell. So it just really depends what is up to you. I truthfully think wholesaling business model requires a lot of marketing, a lot more grit, and a lot of manpower to actually keep it going. You need cold callers, you need SMS, you need people to filter your leads. You have to produce a bunch of leads to be able to find those distressed properties and sellers, versus on the retail side or the agency side, you can talk to a lot less people and essentially yield similar results if you have the proper systems in place. So I hope that made sense.